Hello, thank you for joining me once again for the next episode of the Character Creation Series. This week we're going to be talking about advantages. So, advantages. What are advantages? So advantages are very similar to feats from D&D or talents in other games, where they're built to improve the general flow of the game by allowing you to do more with the skills and the roles that you already have. Now, most of the time this applies to things like getting more out of the skill checks that you do, or getting new interesting facets to it, or generally improving the action economy of combat using combat advantages. And much like skills, these come from sometimes innate, but a majority of the time training in order to better improve yourself beyond normal human limits. So sometimes they can apply as like smaller powers that can kind of do the same thing as a superpower, but you're doing it through skill and training. As a regular person, you can learn how to speak 6 languages. You can also learn how to hold your breath for 10 or more minutes if you're really focused on it and really trained. But you're never going to be able to teach yourself how to fly. That's kind of what we're dealing with here when it comes to advantages. So you'll see advantages being applied a lot to characters that don't usually have superpowers, like a lot of your martial artists kind of fall into this area. It allows them to stand on the same playing field as characters with more overt superpowers. So somebody with a really skilled close combat unarmed skill can be a great fighter and can do all these accurate, powerful hits. However, without advantages, they can't do something like knock out a superpowered individual or knock out 3 or 4 minions at once. That's something that comes with advantages. So they're always worth looking into if you want to improve your character's skills, more so than taking the superpower route. Now, here is the main drawback of advantages. They can be incredibly confusing to buy. And what I mean by that is it's sort of just, a lot of the times it's like a buffet or a grab bag of powers, and martial artists will just collect them and hardly use them. And in some ways it kind of makes sense. To what degree, for example, is Captain America good at grappling? I don't have a very solid or firm answer on that. So how many advantages would a person who's building a Captain America or Captain America-like character get? Honestly, don't have the answer for you. And God forbid you're ever a GM who needs to explain advantages to new players. So how do we solve this problem? Well, I put together a neat little thing called advantage packages. Advantage packages are closely related groups of advantages that I've put together based on how pertinent they are for the character, a clear road to which advantages they need in order to fulfill this niche that they have. This is sort of an interpolation on the Game Master Guide's list of martial arts and the various advantages and or skills that you would use if you wanted to create a fencer or a master judoka, but now applied to the entire range of advantages that exist in the game currently. So say your character wants to lead their team better. How would they go about doing that? Well, let's take a look at the leadership package. As you can see from the list, leadership will list out the pertinent skills and also has a colorful little description that tells you what you need in order to apply them to your character and get the most out of their abilities. So of course, the first one is Inspire. Inspire is number 1. It allows you to, regardless of power level, add a bonus to everybody's rolls for, I believe, 1 round. So as long as they're in your presence enough to get your inspiring speech, they are now far more improved than they were previously. Huge thing for a team of heroes. So anybody who wants to start in leadership should start by getting a little bit of Inspire. And because it's a ranked talent, you'll probably get a little more and a little more. And then you'll see which other ones you want to apply to your character. So you as a GM or as a player are going to take a look at this list. And we're going to go down and figure out exactly what you want for your character. Now, it's important to note, these are just the levels of importance that I have found in the game. I'm not a monolith. If you found an advantage that's at the bottom of my list that's at the top of yours, by all means, tell your players and let them know. This is just an exercise to get your brain flowing so that you can put together these packages for your players so they know what they're doing. Now we come to the part of the video that might subvert your expectations. Now, the list of advantages is far too long for me to make a single video about. In fact, it's probably going to take a large number of videos for me to explain something that I feel like you can glean just from reading the description. So I will not be doing that. From here, I'm going to be presenting a number of other advantage packages that I feel will cover the most ground for characters, sort of the frequently asked questions of the advantage packages, so that you get an idea of what I'm going for here and you can make one for yourself. Next big one is teamwork. Are you the X-Men? Or are you trying to emulate a team-up book? If yes, you need to go and invest in this advantage package. It gives you the most utility out of team attacks, and it is incredibly useful in basically if there are any more than 2 characters interacting in a scene, you will need something from this package. This next one is the self-defense package, and it just applies the most basic levels of advantages in order to get the most effect for non-fighting characters. If you're a power level 5 campaign and you're like a 10-year-old genius, you might want to invest in the self-defense package a little bit so that just any guy off the street with a crowbar can't beat you. Next 2 are my big yin and yang for creating fighting characters. Now, Game Master's Guide already went over how individual styles work out, so I'm going to go for something very general here and break it up into a power-based character and an agility-based character. So, power-based character is exactly what you think it is. They use their strength or their size to basically bully people in fights. Whereas agility focuses mostly on speed and acrobatics. Now, that agile feint and that redirect combination can be absolutely killer when put together. And either one should combine that takedown advantage in order to sweep away a huge number of minions all in one turn, basically. So if you have any kind of martial artist and you don't necessarily know what form you want them to use, start here and then work out into the actual judo, aikido, wrestling format. Along that same vein, we have the Sharpshooter and the Projectile Thrower package. So these kind of fall into the same area. If you're going to be using ranged weapons, start applying some of these skills so that if you're shooting a gun in close quarters, your enemies can't get the drop on you. Or if you want to be like Gambit or Hisoka and you want to throw cards at people and kill them with them, I don't know how that makes any sense, you can do that with Projectile Thrower. Now, these last 3 represent more career skills than anything. So the first one is your ubiquitous hacker package. Now, if you want a character who's really good with computers, what is involved in that? Here's your list of what you need in order to become an excellent hacker. On the same side, we have the Trauma Care package, which is built for characters who want to heal people. What do you need in order to heal people? How can you make yourself better? Here you go. Here's a package for that. Now, finally, and I know this is very, very common for street-level heroes, this detective package will allow you to get the most out of the investigative skill. I love to include investigations, questions, and mysteries in my campaigns, so I liberally apply the investigate skill. I think that if you are following in the same area, this is a package that at least one of your characters needs to be involved in. But that's it. Not quite what you were expecting, right? We'll expect the same thing for powers when I come out with that video next. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing to these videos, guys. And also thank you for checking out my DriveThruRPG, the blog, the podcast, any of the other stuff that I have along with it. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much once again. See you guys later.